Hello everybody, my name is Ethan and welcome back to the Front Porch. Today, we're talking about our job. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about what I would say we do best.
Be awesome.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things we're the best
Virtual
at, so I'm
events.
still not sure.
Virtual events.
Events in general.
Yeah, live events, virtual events,
okay.
you name it.
Okay.
I feel like that is something we do
Well,
consistently all the time.
because we've done it for a fair
Yes, we've done it for a very long time.
Yep.
But the reason we're talking about this is because virtual events were very, very popular after 2020 for some reason. And now they're starting to decrease in number again. Changing.
Change.
Yeah, I think change is a better way to put it.
They're changing.
You guys know way more about it than I am. Again,
Yeah, host, would you get your stuff right?
I'm dumb guy this episode.
That's
both
not
like,
true. You know the setups and shots. And
Sure, yeah, I know how
you're
to work
involved.
Wirecast.
You set them
See,
up.
no one knows how to use Wirecast.
I'm not
Wirecast
gonna
is
let
how to use
you-
Wirecast.
We love
not gonna let you say
Wirecast.
that.
I'm
Shout out
push
Wirecast.
button on cameraman,
Hey, you run
prompter.
which I'm very.
You
I'm,
run a tight set. Like
Yeah.
it's very important to have a good floor manager, good stage manager, good cam op team. That's Ethan's.
Yeah, you're a strong
Just
aspect
as important
of
as
live events.
nerds over here making sure things are plugged in right.
I'm not gonna let you get away with that. You're involved in live events.
Yeah, we all are.
Where we literally had a setup the other day and had the other AV guys going, "What are they doing?" And then had the manager AV guy have to explain to them what we were doing.
Yep. It's fun when we roll up.
Flex.
We've done a few. We've seen some things. Yeah.
yeah. So that's what we're talking about.
Okay.
Before we get into that, what have we been watching?
Ooh, I have been jumping back into Brooklyn Nine-Nine actually.
Love Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Yeah, because Jessica and I got into season 3, and then it's only on Peacock, I believe, for streaming services.
It makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense because NBC took it away from Fox. Well, picked it up after Fox was like,
A rebound.
Yeah, but we lost our Peacock membership when we switched to internet providers, but we got it back recently when we did that switch back. But whatever, and it's great. Love that show.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I've been watching Full Metal Alchemist.
Yeah, you have.
I'm almost done. Really good anime that Donnie recommended, of course. It's also one of the most popular anime ever.
Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. To be specific.
Yes.
Don't watch the.
I hear the normal one isn't good.
It's bad.
Yeah. But I've been doing that.
I'm on my usual true crime murdery stuff.
Okay.
Solid.
There's a couple new ones that just dropped on Netflix. Like there's one about investigating missing people. I just really like that aspect of that stuff. And then I started John Mulaney's new comedy special.
Gotta
How
watch
is that?
I got partway into it, and then I was just like, I can't pay attention anymore. But great start. Very real. He openly addresses things that have been out in the public.
Yeah, he's been a little controversial
And
lately.
you're just kind of like, oh, he's a human guy.
Yeah.
And still very funny. And then to break that up, the crime and the sad things, I've been rewatching New Girl.
Hey.
Because I
New
love
Girl.
Nick Miller
Yes.
so much.
New Girl's great.
Yeah, certain characters annoy me sometimes, and other characters just really carry it for me. So that's kind of been my break up the sad, dark stuff show. And I've also been trying to read books,
Hey, books are good.
Okay.
but those are also dark murdery things. So
Yeah. Well.
I'm kind of a one-track
only go so
viewer.
far.
yeah,
Only go
just
so
settling into
far.
bed at night
We all
reading a
have what we
murder book,
like.
falling asleep. But
Such a cozy destruction of life.
at least I'm self-aware. I
that's
don't
good.
know. Yeah.
You know.
I watch whatever everybody else in the house watches. So we watched Ted Lasso and the Bridgerton prequel Queen thing.
Oh, Queen Charlotte.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Decent.
I've been meaning to watch that.
It was interesting to learn that backstory. It has the quintessential Bridgerton things, like the really cheesy violin version of a pop song, and you're just like, really? But hey, it's not made for me. So it was on. I was watching it. I was working
Was it a
on
spin-off?
a live event. Actually, weird.
Wow.
But
Is it
yes.
a spin-off from the original?
Yeah. So like the Queen in Bridgerton is like a really like juicy backstory, and so Netflix decided, hey, let's make that a show.
Oh, okay.
And the first episode we watched, or Betsy watched, and I sort of watched last night, and it was better than most of the Bridgerton episodes of the last season.
Wow.
Okay.
So
wow.
I give it 5 out of 8 stars. Sure.
That's a
5
very
eights.
strange metric that you've
Yeah, so better than 50%, but not quite like 9 out of 10.
So,
So
Passes with a
so-
D.
so like a
plus.
60%?
Sure, whatever.
Sure.
Let's do
So
a
it's 6
decent.
out of 10.
I mean, if we're gonna go
Yeah.
lowest common denominator, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say this very quickly. I talked
Fits.
awfully about Bridgerton episode 1, season 1,
Yep.
because that was, I think they made that without Netflix's like
They just made
oversight at all. And they were like, hey, look at this show. And Netflix was like, great, we're going to fix everything wrong with
Yeah.
it. And I quite like the show after the fact, because
Yeah.
everything I had issues with, like frame rate, lighting, camera work, direction, acting, like they more or less
Got it.
fixed
Yeah.
that.
No, it is a really
It's-
well done production
Yes.
level show. Story is a little, I don't know.
The first episode is just so ugly in every aspect.
Yeah, I think they just shot it on an iPhone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
That's
looked,
okay.
it looked terrible. But
They're on Netflix and we're not, so.
Yet.
Yeah.
exactly.
If Ethan said it's ugly, I believe it.
Okay, right.
Getting back into virtual events.
So what we're
now
doing
that-
is-
our jobs.
How we make money.
Well, how we make, money.
We've done plenty of live and virtual events prior to 2020.
Yep.
We've done plenty after it.
We did a lot.
Yes.
Yes.
How would you describe that transition type?
So pre-COVID, we always had a live production arm that was very based on need. So someone had a in-person event and they needed to get it to a different audience, or we were recording it and then we should put it on YouTube, or hey, we have this great thing that we need to show down the road, but we want it to kind of feel live. Live events before COVID weren't synonymous to the sort of production world and the corporate world like they are post-COVID. With sort of March of 2020 to I'd say May of 2020, everyone had a hard realization of how hard live TV is. Like it hit everybody square in the face of like, oh, I need audio, I need video, oh, background noise, oh, there's all these wires, oh, I have to connect these things, oh, what do you mean that doesn't work? And I mean, that is the world of live production, the way, like, a lot of the ways that we do it, we go in a couple of days before, set up 1,000 things and a mile of cable, we do a whole thing, and then we take it all with us and we leave. It's not a fixed studio like news or production. Nope. It's not a installation like a corporate installation where we have a full integrator and the whole thing is built into the walls and it's very pretty. We sort of go in with hope, duct tape, and experience and make it happen and then come back out and work. And that skill set that we had going into COVID, people had to pick up very quickly. Of, well, what do I do if I don't hear audio? What do I do if my camera doesn't work? Why do I need 4 drivers to share my screen? All these things that we learned, and we were in a really good place. Like the day after everything shut down, I had 3 clients go, what do you guys know about live events? And I'm like, actually, we've been doing this for 8 years, and I've been in live TV for 10, 15 years before that. So we know a lot, and we were able to quickly spool up a very fast, very simple live event setup that we could then safely at the time put into clients. We took our office and we turned our office into a live studio. We could connect remotely. We were sending cameras. We knew what we needed to know to get to that. And then as COVID spread out and that whole 2-week thing turned into a 3-year thing, we did 150 to 200 individual live events, varying in scale from an audience of 80 to a largest audience, I think in COVID was like 85,000. And so every one of them had a different kind of complexity. Everyone had a different scale. But the one thing that sort of, to answer your question, how has that changed? Everybody now understands that a live event means increased complexity, increased time, increased juggling needed. And we've seen, even from our clients or new clients or experiences, that there's a lot more appreciation. Not that there wasn't before, but there's just a lot more appreciation of those little nitty-gritty nerd details than there ever was. And now when we look post-COVID to events, we see a lot more of, oh, I had this terrible experience, I don't want to do that. Or, oh, I had this really great experience, I want to do more of that. Or, hey, did you see this webinar, or this live event, or this kind of thing? And there's a lot more understanding from our client base and the outside world to what it is that we do, which is nice. And then that, because of that, we've grown our experience, and our expertise has grown on that. And so our events have gotten more robust, more complex, more betterer, where we've created a lot more opportunities to then take all of our really good things, all the things that we learned in that trial by fire that we all went through, and then put out a different kind of experience than we probably ever would have pre-COVID.
Yeah. And Aubrey and Donnie, you guys have experience in news.
Yeah. All three of us do. Mine is kind of, so I started off as a news videographer, just like Andy did.
Ambulance chaser.
Yep, pretty much. But when I moved to the Grand Rapids area, I had a really good opportunity at Wood TV where I was part of their production arm, where essentially my job was both to film for their lifestyle show, but the main thing that kind of applies to this was helping to create any like live events that happened outside of the station. This is more than just like the TV live shot that you would see where it's the reporter standing in front of the accident wherever that happened. It was more like the sporting events where like Riverbank Run was a great example of like a huge live event, art prize. There was a whole series where we'd go to like different schools around the area and do stuff like that. And that was where I kind of really cut my teeth on like how we set up these corporate live events, where we show up, we have the brains of the operation, we have all the cable that needs to be run, all the cameras, and then how do we get the signal, the show, to the audience?
From here to here.
Yep. It is more than just a laptop set up.
Sometimes.
I was 10 counties of people watching.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was a lot of stuff. So that's where I kind of got most of my experience, and that's how I was able to, because I didn't join the team until after, like post-COVID. It was September of 21 when I joined the team. So by the time I had joined the team, the live event thing had already been going for a while.
Well, you're both products of our increased infrastructure ad and resourcing ad because of all of the live events.
Yes.
So they work here because we have more live events.
Yes.
Yeah.
Pretty simple. Thank you, clients. This is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of a crossover I didn't really think could happen. It's kind of like leaving news. I'm kind of like, okay, well, what do I do with this skill set?
Journalism degree.
Yeah.
You produce.
I was a producer, yeah. So in charge of, it's such a weird job to explain to civilians who haven't been in it. Outsiders, but yeah. So like, I would come in with a blank slate of a newscast, 3 newscasts a day, and I'm just looking at, okay, I have 45 whatever minutes to fill. So then I'm in charge of that. But then when it came to showtime, when we're live on air, that was all on me too. So I had to communicate with the TDs, the directors pushing the buttons. And now oftentimes you are next to me at the table doing that. So my rundown has to be clean and concise and clear for everybody. I have to have 3 backup plans where if one camera dies or one mic goes out, where are we going to go? I have to communicate that calmly, collectively. There's multifaceted areas to producing. And though there isn't kind of the same, breaking news rush or your live shot's not up that there is here, there's still that mindset that I have to be like, okay, I need to communicate this. If I'm panicky, the client's going to panic, the crew's going to panic. So I'm always kind of thinking of, what did you say the other day? Aubrey thinks of the sky's falling. What are we going to do? Well, you kind of just have to, especially virtually, because say we're in the middle of a virtual event and you think of your audience at home and they're on their laptop, but they're probably on their phone too. They're sending other emails. If one mic goes out or they lose a shot, they're not watching anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's kind of on us, is to think like we need to have a backup to a backup to a backup, have a handheld mic ready to run in there. You have to keep your audience.
Right.
And I think that's been maybe something that's adjusted too. If people are working at home, they're on their laptops on meetings all day anyways. How is your content and even the way that we work and operate in the smoothness of our stuff, how is that going to keep your audience?
Yeah.
And I think that'll be an evolving thing too with people's attention spans. We talk about TikTok a lot.
Oh, TikTok.
People want things fast, and if you lose them, the statistically the chances of getting them back are very slim.
Right. And we've seen that too. I mean, a great example is before COVID, live events were kind of undetermined length. During COVID, we saw, as everything slowed down, we saw that we could get a lot more time with people because they had more time. So the first couple versions of these events that we did for a client that were fairly regular, we were doing them every week, every other week. They were consistently an hour. We had consistent engagement across the measurement because we measure how long you're on there, what you're watching, all those things, what you're clicking and all that. But like we were getting 50, 55 minutes out of people. And they were engaging in the polls and they were engaging in the Q&A. And it wasn't such a pressure to be like, well, what are we delivering more? It was like, oh, we're delivering good, solid content. 2021, that 60 minutes went to 45 minutes as people really started to get busy and started to do, like you said, multitasking. And then late 21, early 22, that went from 42 roughly average to like 26. Like we lost half the time right away. And there are still some that go longer because they provide a consistent value across the hour. But we have seen, and now, I mean, I would imagine in the next year, we'll be doing 12 to 15 minute live events that are super concise, super polished, cleaned. And then if there's more content that they want for specific audiences, that will then go to on demand. We'll produce it same day, but it will go to an on demand versus a live deliver. And there'll be just that sort of fracturing of how we deliver and what we deliver across the whole thing because we're now triple tasking. I mean, there's a lot of people triple tasking in what they do every day. So
Yeah. Engagement too, like you said, Q&As, polls. We had one client who did like a gift card giveaway or something. Like first person with the right answer in chat, you get a Starbucks card or whatever. You have to keep that. It's like a Teams call and a PowerPoint isn't going to cut it anymore. And maybe that was the easy switch for people when this first started, when it was kind of like, oh crap, we have to suddenly go virtual. What do we do? But now we're working in interactive stuff, even if some of our events are people are in the room, but we're also live streaming.
Yeah.
So how can you bring that? And we say a lot, we say it's not just an event, it's an experience.
Yes.
So how do you bring that in-room experience to your virtual audience? Because you have to keep everybody.
Right.
And for some of our clients, that's required training time to keep your job. So you have to keep your audience engaged. Like you said, cut the content in half, but we put a nice shine on things where we come up with these quick videos, engaging, enticing stuff that catches your attention and keeps it, or we tease ahead to something next. Like next month we're going to do this, or kind of series format things we've kind of moved into a little bit. But
and a lot of that effort too, we've seen go from put all the effort into the hour, instead take that same amount of effort, but put 20% of the effort into pre-recorded elements that we do to get people to the event. And then we put half the amount of effort on the event, and then we create evergreen content or support content or, dare I say, amplify content.
Sponsored by us.
That creates consistent return on that investment there so that it's segmented out and builds on the overall brand experience and the overall event experience. And then it lets the attendees, virtual, hybrid, or in person, have additional pieces that were then part of the overall whole. So that's really our strategy has adjusted consistently, event to event, week to week, day to day, year to year, across all of it.
Yeah, and on top of all that, you're also catching flack from all sides at all times.
Right.
While setting up for and executing a live event.
Yeah, they're not easy.
Because it's like, okay, well, now my broadcast program doesn't work because I updated my laptop. Or people are watching the event and they're like, well, I don't see anything. And it's like, well, you're not using Chrome. You're in the room in your house that is furthest away from your Wi-Fi router.
Right.
Or you set your laptop on your bed every single time you use it, and it is overheating whenever you play a 1080p YouTube video.
stream. Yeah.
Yeah, you're probably not going to have the experience that you should be having.
Yeah.
Right.
You're
But
muted.
everyone is always like, but it's your guys' fault. And it's like,
Well, and that is one thing that I've seen change. Probably one of the most dramatic changes with what I said earlier is like people experience what it's like to be a producer of a live event, not just an attendee. And that's been helpful to sort of say, yes, you remember how hard that was to like push all those buttons in the right sequence, but we've also put a lot of effort into finding the right modes to make that experience go better, because and I've always told our clients from the day one of live events is like, you're going to have 5 to 10% of your audience that's just not going to see it, or they're just not going to hear it, or they're just going to be upset about something. And unfortunately, that's just the case, because we can't control that someone might have an iPhone 6S, or someone might have an Internet Explorer, or someone, like you said, is overheating their laptop, or they've got 785 Chrome tabs open, and they've got 12 videos already open too, and a graphics card of a Surface Pro is not going to handle that many things. These are all very specific examples. But like, we've also taught and coached our clients and their talent to be representative of that, and saying, hey, let's go over best practices. And let's be consistent as to here's how you're going to have the best experience. Like, please restart your laptop before coming to our live event. Thank you.
shut it down and
Update
leave
your
it shut down
software.
for 10 minutes, please.
And just that allows then to hopefully all of our work then translates downstream to a great experience that is had by all, or as many as possible.
Because we put a lot of planning and time and a lot of our own passion for these things into those things, and we want as many people to see that as possible.
Yeah, we
because
want
it's so worth it.
It's so fun. Yeah, and then, there's all the other fun stuff of, well, how do we get there? And what are the things? And, I don't know if this is in your discussion, but like, what's it take for like a planning of an event? Like, how many steps are there? I think I counted on one of our big events that we have right now, and there are 795 individual steps for one live event.
Well, I think that's where the learning curve with the client comes in handy, of like explaining, hey, we need this because this. And then especially some of these things we're booking annually. So we're like, all right, let's look at how this one went and how we can do that smoother for everyone involved next time, where we say, hey, if we need extra laptops for this because this.
Speaking of, I need to write that down.
There's just kind of helping the client understand, or like, hey, make sure you're getting your scripts to me so I can look them over. And it's really, like one of you just said, we want to make it look as cool as possible because we love this. Live event day,
so fun.
let's go. So we always want to do our best, but one of my goals is when I'm PMing these is to make sure the client understands too. Because like this stuff, some of the phrases that we throw around, we eat, sleep, and breathe this. We know what this means, but to like a communications department, a marketing department, they're like, cool, just do it. So I think kind of having that understanding is important of, we need this to make sure it goes as smoothly for you.
Right.
Kind of taking that extra time to explain, well, our outputs do this. Or we did have a client join us at the producer table kind of recently, and it was kind of like you were saying, that moment of, oh, this isn't that easy. There's a lot that goes into this. When they walk up to our production table and we've got 8 laptops, 7 different audio things, and they're just kind of like, oh, we thought it was just like a camera and a couple of lights. And we're like, no, this is 7:30.
And because we set this up every single time, like most of our team knows what every single one of those cables is doing too. Like it's not just like, oh, we have a mess of cables here. It's just, no, this cable runs the audio. This cable is splitting video that also runs audio, but it's also doing video at the same time. Sounds confusing. Important.
No, you're good with that though. And you've explained that to clients a couple times of like, okay, well, if you want us to do this, we need to move this here to make this work. Like if a client comes up to us and they're reasonably stressed, event day, and come to us with a question, Donnie will kind of step back and go and just kind of look at it and figure it out. And you can see the client decompress when you do that. And I think that's something that kind of levels us up a little bit over maybe some other people who may be hired. I was going to say competition, but there isn't really any. But you can kind of see the client once they understand of like, okay, well, we're going to have to shuffle a little bit, but we'll get this done for you. I've seen that happen a few times. And I think just kind of watching them breathe a little bit builds that trust. And they're like, okay, we'll see you guys next year.
Well, and that's cool. You know, one of the cool parts about having so many events is that we've done so many different options. And there's so many, there's probably not a lot in the world of live events that we haven't tried, failed, figured out a new way, tried again, failed, tried a new way. And COVID was really great about like, we're going to throw 800 things at you and you're going to succeed at half of them and then try it again. And that was the cool part. And be able to then bring, we've seen that, we can fix that quickly, efficiently. We know that. And like you said, never doubt a Donnie there. Like,
never doubt Donnie.
That whole idea of just like thinking through all of the webs of all of the different pieces and people that play into an event is a really cool visual game of like, what is it? The 7 ways everyone connects to Kevin Bacon.
Oh yeah.
Like, we could totally
Bacon
have
number.
that for like the 7 ways everything connects to a decimator. Because it is very much like
literally
super connected and super important, and there are so many ways for it to fall apart, but we've built out a really good experience and a really good process to sort of mitigate as many as possible, and then have people like Donnie and Aubrey and myself and Ethan and all the rest of our team on there that have been through the fires of all of this to say, oh, look, remember when we had that problem and we just had to do this? Or remember when that didn't do that? We did this instead. And then coming from that experience of being able to think on your feet quickly and other things, from film background on a film set to live TV news, it's very much, we'll get it on the air because we won't miss slot, because that's our guarantee.
never miss slot.
Never miss slot.
But yeah, I think the clients like it too.
Yeah,
I think
for sure.
Yeah, it's an ever-changing world, which I think is also on your list. But clients are starting to see that evolve and see how it can be useful in some ways and where it can be better in some. And I also just really like having those conversations of talking with a client in like a kickoff meeting, saying, what does this look like to you?
Right.
And then if they have sort of like a more basic idea, then we have Nick who can make incredible graphics. We have Ethan who can be like, well, we can take your headshots while we're there too. And everyone has an updated professional headshot. Donnie can handle anything you throw at him. I've got your run a show down and I will hound you until I don't.
I'm a big nerd, so I'll figure out a cool way to do it.
Anything that goes wrong, I'm like looking at these two. Like there's a weird wiring issue. One of you two figure it out.
We'll just figure it out, like not even talking.
Yeah.
Or like when we were in San Jose, I'm like, hey, Donnie, that thing. Yeah, no, the cable, right? Yeah, the cable. Oh, yeah, the one that's in the, okay, and that was it.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, we all kind of have our own strengths, which I think is cool. And as we're starting to expand and grow a lot, we have other people training, like Liberty's been working on how to call and TD live events, and to kind of have a powerhouse team and everyone kind of learning different roles is kind of like, we're like that guy for live events.
We are.
So
we're becoming that. And that's...
It's cool to see. It's cool to... I feel like a proud mom sometime on set. We're like, I always say my producer brain has limits. I don't know how to edit. I don't know how to set up any of this stuff. But I know that where my brain stops, you guys are going to kill it after that. And I think that's dangerous.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you with the setup. Like,
Well, I'm in a weird position from everyone here because I do help set up, but it's more like cameras and lights and making sure everything on that side is good and helping run wiring and all
a
that.
solid cable tape.
and it's concise.
I
It's
will say I'm
organized.
pretty good at taping cables.
Your tape lines, your runs are... But the thing is, it's like,
Accept
that's important, because when shit hits the fan, beep, like we can look at and not go down and be like, oh, there's a nest of cable. We can go, oh, that's SDI1 coming from cam slot A on the A10 back end to, oh, it's not plugged into that thing on the floor that needs to go to those 12 things. You know,
Right.
so like it's live events more than probably anything else that we do as a company. Bring all the factors of the company together around one single mission. And then it also helps us be just super nerdy and excited about it because there is that little bit of like drop in your stomach when we're counting, you or TD or whatever's counting down from 5 and we're hitting the go button.
Stand by.
Like, that's an exciting moment because, yes, it's say it's one of our monthly shows. It's 60 minutes of content that we've produced we spent the last 45 days producing. Like, it comes down to at 0 + 1, is it still in black? Like,
Is the video gonna play? Are there mics on? Yeah.
so, or like a big live event that we have coming up here in the first week of June. I mean, there are, like I said, 800 steps. There's 45 plus people, and it's their full-time job essentially for 6 months to run this thing. And it's a multi-day, multi-screen, multimodal, multi-operational, hybrid super event. But at the same point, at 9 a.m. on that Monday morning, at 9 a.m. 01, if that screen's still black,
Live.
it doesn't matter. So, like, it's all that work. And that, to me, I think is how we've built our company, is everybody and our clients and the whole experience. And why I think live events are so cool is everything goes around on that one little frame. And when it ticks over, that rocket takes off for the moon. Or it blows up on the pad, and we figured it out.
Yeah.
But it goes after the moon. Never mind.
Yeah.
Well, and your setups and your concise taping and everything, that goes even beyond client. Like, we are very often a guest in
Absolutely.
like some conference room in a hotel, who knows where. So I know they appreciate when we come in and we're concise and clean and organized, and so are some of the other companies that work with us. Like some of the other vendors who come in. We saw it. We were in Chicago recently, and I don't know what his main role was, but we had the freelance guys with us and then kind of their like manager, he kind of seemed like, and I kept noticing him looking at all of our wires and what's going where, and then he kind of sit back and went,
Oh, I know that is.
yeah. I caught him kind of go,
Well, because it is.
and so they appreciate it too, because we work with freelancers and we just like, we don't always know these people. We don't know what equipment they've worked with. We don't know if they're going to be familiar. So when they can come in and look at our stuff and be like,
Oh, they got it.
cool, then we communicate better, things run smoother. So
And it's a
I'm not going to let you
safety
get
thing.
away with saying you're not involved in live.
Yeah.
Well,
It
this
comes
is
down
The
to
whole
even
podcast
that.
is just convincing Ethan that he's part of a live team.
the point.
You're on it.
But those are some of the steps, all the way down to how we tape stuff on the floor, like cameras, lights, run of show, whatever.
Is this a conversation you wanted to have?
The point that I was going to bring up 10 minutes ago.
Sorry.
That's
We had a lot of coffee.
It's cool from my perspective because I help the setup, I help make it look nice, I help keep the smoke and mirrors act going so people we want people that appreciate the work, we don't want them to actually see everything that we set up.
Yep.
We want them to be fully immersed in that event. For me, who is a videographer and photographer for most of the events we do, I am able to see all that work, help all that setup, but I am also able to enjoy the event and be the one who is also immersed in it.
Right.
And me doing that and knowing that, like, oh, well, that setup was worth it because I'm walking around and I'm like, I can't even tell people are behind all this.
Right.
I just feel like it's happening. I'm experiencing it. It's what everyone else is feeling.
Sure.
And I feel like that's a unique perspective from what you guys do because you're all behind the table all day in the
We're all
dark.
losing our hair.
Making all the magic happen.
I'm
but
busy.
I feel like you're not allowed to fully appreciate like that experience that you've created.
I mean, I guess
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, good point.
Okay. Yeah, totally.
a good
You're a
live
different
event
kind of
is
viewer.
like good sound design. It's not supposed to be something you notice and point out.
Yeah.
It's something that just happens and you're like, it's more when you notice something is going wrong, that's when it's
Oh yeah.
bad.
We could spend a whole hour being like WTF moments, like you know.
And probably,
could.
and not, probably stuff that the audience didn't even realize happened.
Right.
But we're back there like,
Right, but I mean, it's like exactly. It's good sound design because the minute the mic cuts out, the whole event can be trashed. Like, because if you can't hear it, what's the point?
yeah,
Yep.
think of watching TV. If I'm watching TV and the screen goes black or I can't hear somebody, I'm moving on to something else.
Yep.
So
Right.
is the audience at home, especially
Or
if
in
they're
the
already
room.
working from home. They're like, okay, I'm going to jump on this meeting. I'll get back to that later. Like,
We even run to it in the and we're getting less and less of a virtual audience as we move beyond COVID. Like that virtual audiences should, and this is my pitch, virtual audiences should always be part of your audience mix. Yep. But the percentage of a virtual audience is not going to be there. No. You need to deliver more value add plus content to your virtual audience or special experiences that only they can get that not the in-person audience can get. Mm-hmm. End of pitch. But call me, click the link below. Smash the like button, whatever it is.
Let's talk video.
Yeah, somewhere over here. But the important thing is that the in-room experience we're seeing even more, like we talked about earlier, is dual work. They're doing two things at once. Everyone in the virtual audience is either on their phone everyone in the in-person audience is paying attention, but they also have their phone. They also have their notes. They're also trying to synthesize the content from the meeting before, bringing all of that stuff to whatever experience you're having. So if we can be as seamless in that flow, then that thinking, that synthesization of the content before, that remembering of that really important keynote message, the really cool experience that we had the night before, the day before, the hour before, and we then are seeing even more of that delivery in room to options that are above and beyond than they were. As people have come back together, the ask has always been, what can we do that will wow them? Mm-hmm. How can we bring even more impact to this event? Because when COVID was first coming out and we sort of got into the 2022 realm, you needed to justify why you're coming in room. Like, why should you be, why can't we just do it virtually? That's going away, but now it's, why am I spending my time on this and not the 12 other things I need to be doing? Mm-hmm. And so we as a team and as a strategy and as a company have really started to develop ways to engage that experience. Like you said, Aubrey, it's less of an event and more of an experience, and that experience is more of a spherical approach to the whole thing versus then just like one or two little lines in the budget.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, or imagine you're on day 3 of an in-person live event and it's after lunchtime on day 3.
Audience
and everyone's got a full belly. They're tired. Who knows where they traveled from?
Right.
How are you going to keep that audience? How do you bring them back after lunch? The coffee's worn off. They're checking into their flight.
Yep.
You have to keep that audience. Yeah. Imagine asking. It's a lot to ask someone for an hour out of their day now. Hey, can you watch this video for an hour? People are like, I mean, I can, but I'm going to be doing this, this, and this, and then I got to go immediately. Give them a reason to tune in. Keep them coming back. Make them stay. Give them something to look forward to. Even like you said, recapping stuff from the night before. Because people are excited to get back.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
In person. People are like, yeah, you could do it virtual and it might be easy, but there's also so many pros to being in person.
So much value.
The conversation you're having, the team building, the networking it's just different in person. There's strengths and weaknesses to both. But as people are getting more excited to get back in person, we're really leaning into that.
And it's that same conversation of like a lot of the office furniture companies and buildings and are having is like, and companies too, that return to work conversation. Why should my employees come back to my office? What am I providing? And I heard the best I heard in all of our discussions, and we work with a lot of in that furniture world and that return to work world, and we did probably 75 just furniture related return to work live events specifically. And the best way I ever heard it is that you need to make it a clubhouse for them to come back to. Mm-hmm. Your office needs to be a clubhouse. I bring the same idea to a live event that's in person only really, but even in person plus virtual or hybrid, because there needs to be more than just the content. There needs to be the culture. There needs to be a technology reason. There needs to be something that's new, fun, exciting that I can share with my friends and that I can bring back home. And we do our work best in that instance because we're able to bring that content and that experience to life that is a really cool use of all of our experiences and all of our gear and all of our people and all of that. But live events are this unique conglomeration of everything we've ever done. Mm-hmm. And then it's at a frequency and a consistency and a pace that's different. Mm-hmm. This is really fun.
And I guess to close this out, I think the future of live events is just going to be more technology is going to come out to make them even cooler and more seamless, and you just got to stay up to date with all that.
Yeah, and
which is what we already do to stay relevant.
And I would say from the audience perspective, the future of live events is that in-person plus piece. It's the app, it's the digital experience, it's the what can I take home, but it's also what are the more important reasons that I'm going to someplace, and how can that better help me do the 3 things that I need to do today, tomorrow, and next week. And having that perspective, if you're thinking about planning a live event, having that perspective of it's not just the days on the floor that you're there live, it's the work up to the event, it's the event itself, it's the post-event, and it's how we can build an environment and experience around that that's beneficial to, it's really, I mean, it's silly, it goes back to the why, but it's like, why are we doing this? Why am I going? Why should I care? That's really where a live event uniquely so versus like a traditional video project or a photography project, a live event, you can communicate that why in 12 different ways, and people need to hear it six times before it sticks. So if you're giving it to them in 12 different versions, at least most of your audience is going to understand it 6 ways, and so you're going to have that ROI. So
Great.
I say that. I talk about this a lot.
Any final thoughts from you or you?
We've talked a lot about virtual versus in-person audiences, and I mean, if you just look at the state of the world before COVID, like it was inevitable that there was going to be like a large virtual audience for every event.
Yeah.
I mean, just look at like things like the Olympics, for example. That's like probably one of the first like big live events that everyone tunes into. But as things become more accessible and technology grows and things like that, like it used to be you were a syndicated TV station and that was how you did live things. Now it is, if you have a computer, you technically can go live from anywhere. It's just a Teams call or a Zoom call, but we level that up and that's what we do.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I think that wraps it up because I know you got to go soon.
I do.
And our cameras are huffing and puffing right now. The boys are tired.
Please.
So I hope everyone learned something. Virtual events virtual and live events are something that go, I think, unnoticed a lot in the production world, just because I know a lot of people don't really understand how much actually goes into them.
It's a lot.
And I'm glad that we can have that experience and share that with all of you, and that hopefully a lot of people out there that have been looking to get into it or have always wondered about it took a lot out of,
or have had them and have they've not been the best experiences that they've wanted.
Yeah.
You know, we have band-aided and helped and rescued and supported and redeveloped lots and lots and lots of them. And all of that work was not for naught, I promise. Because every learning you make on a live event, whether it crashes and burns or whether it's a success, only helps make it more. And that, like Donnie mentioned, that spread of technology and the fact that you can go live from your phone anywhere in the world, like that's only going to make live events more frequent. We are here to help make them have a better holistic experience and we can take a lot of that frustration out because give it to us, we'll deal with it. You don't need to.
Don't let some guy with an iPhone do it. You know, anyone can go to Best Buy and get one of those kits, but like these people have degrees and decades of experience. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
but if you have to, we can help you with that too.
We work with multiple budgets, however. Yeah. And if there's questions, hello. Yeah, because it's uncharted territory for some. So if, we're happy to talk about it.
Yep.
We nerd out about it, obviously.
We're big nerds.
Yes.
So
Speaking of nerding out, tune in next episode because we're talking video game movies, and it's going to be pretty cool. And it's going to be the 4th of July special. So check it out. It's going to be a fun one. We just recorded it prior to this one. That's why I'm in this. I was about to say we can actually talk about the fact that it's good. Yeah, it's a good one.
Content's recorded.
Thank you so much for joining us on the Porch. thanks for hanging out with us, grabbing a drink, talking with your buddies. Pretty cool.
Hey.
Tell your friends.
Nerds.
Like and
Come
subscribe.
hang around next time. Until then, well,
Get off the porch.
Scram.
crazy kids, rascals.
But also like and subscribe and come back next time.
please.
Yeah.
Hello at 730.com.
Hi.
All right.
Yeah, cut it. Believe it or not, we are actual video professionals in addition to being total wackos on this podcast. If you like The Front Porch, make sure to subscribe to the channel. You can also follow us on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and TikTok. We deliver best-in-class video content for our global clients in a range of corporate applications. We regularly work with product-based companies, corporate marketing teams, high-tech manufacturing agencies, and many more. If you're ready to get started on your next video content project, reach out to our team and let's talk video. You're welcome on our porch anytime.